Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is January 19th of 2023. I hope this system is working because I messed with it. Every time I touch it, I think it goes crazy. Or maybe it's me. Um, there was a monitor over here that was running Windows 11. That was on the B-Link mini computer, but that was the one that I had the problems with, with this. But it was working okay over there for what it had to do. But I have moved it away. I switched monitors so that I could have two monitors that could both do, let's see, so that I could have two monitors that could do what was it? Was it 1920? Was it 2560 by 1440? Anyway, I know it was 1440 on both the monitors here, and I had a great idea. I forget what it is now. And so I had ended up, I made a video, short video, looked good, but to test it, when I had that set up, and then my video editing software, I forget what it came up with, a message that something, it wasn't in the protocol or something rather, and it couldn't do it. Then I decided to check some of my other editing software and see, and then I decided to hell with it, and I kept the two monitors that I had gone to for the new setup, but I put the settings back to 1920 by 1080, and well, I guess this is my first video now. And we'll see how it works. I've got 1080p by 60 frames per second. Oh, and I tried OBS. And I've tried it in the past. I've used it in the past, I mean, a long time ago and more currently. And it was not working right for me. So I'm back to Manicam as the camera program, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use some videoing software now, what I'm going to use. I'm going to try to keep my hands off of making changes, if the audio works. And the camera. I hooked up the Avery Media camera, which was on this other computer over here. Oops, I'm pointing. I hooked it up, and in the past I had them both working on one computer, and I believe, and then I had a choice, the Razor or the Avery, and they both wouldn't work at the same time. So this actually, the Razor gives really, really good video. And the other video is good too, but this is so much better. One reason also for the change was that I wanted to, after I moved this computer system to the closet, and my idea was to, have this where I would be looking that way, and there'd be a camera directly over there, working. And then I could do some stuff. And then, of course, I realized, well, the way I operate is usually looking at a monitor and pulling stuff up for you to see or to tell you about or something like that. And I thought, well, I could still do it, And then, of course, my computer will support, 3 monitors easily. And I thought, well, I could hook another monitor up. So I told you about going to the doctor, and I saw the lab results and everything. Everything looks pretty good, actually. Surprise, surprise. I do need it to get, I'm way overdue for a eye exam, but I'm in no hurry to have it done. As long as I can see the monitor and the keyboard, I guess, and the way to the bathroom, I guess I'm okay. When I went to the doctor, I got the doctor to sign up some paperwork for me that I can turn in, and I'll be able to use a local service that Fort Worth has. And for people that are disabled, they'll come to your door, and they'll take you any place. It doesn't have to be just to a doctor's office. They'll take you any place in Fort Worth. It costs $4, which is more expensive than going over to a bus. But they'll come, to your door. And of course they have a lift. I don't need a lift, but a lot of people, well, maybe I do need it. No, I don't need a lift. So what I'm thinking about doing now, and this will also, a whole bunch of you have been saying, get out and walk for a long time, that type of stuff. Because you know how unhealthy, it's not healthy sitting here. And so I'm thinking what I will do, it may be a month before I get the permission from whatever they're called now. They take care of Fort Worth. They use buses. It's Trinity Metro Access. Excuse me. So what I'm thinking about doing now is getting out, because I need to get out and walk around. And it may be too late, but I'm 81 now. I'll be 82 in March. So I'm actually, I spent 5 years in Miami, and I really liked it down there. The beaches and everything, and I walked around a lot down there. And just the other day I was watching 4K because of the monitor. I was watching 4K of Miami, and I've done that before. And the areas that they were showing, walking the beaches and down the different boardwalks and places like that, and the Bayside Mall. I've been to all those places and walked down those, streets and by the ocean and all that kind of stuff. So it was nice to see it. I was also testing out the 4K, which I've done in the past, monitors. I got a closet full of monitors. So what I'm planning on doing when I get the permit, where I can have them come by and pick me up. You have to call ahead of time, a day ahead of time, and say you want to be picked up at such and such a time, and where you want to go, and then what time you want to be picked up. And now for doctor's offices, that's kind of sometimes you can get delayed. And if you're not available when they come by to get you, then you can call them, and then they'll try to arrange for transportation for you. And they do it long hours too. I forget how late it goes. But I know back then I was doing a little bit of walking in this neighborhood. And at 6 or 7 in the morning, I know earlier, at least 7, there'd be a bus right down the street waiting in a small parking lot because they picked up a guy about 7, I think, in the morning at the apartments, 5 days a week, and took him to work, and then they brought him home or whatever. But what I'm thinking of doing is taking you all to the Fort Worth Zoo, taking you to, I'm not sure if they call it the Cultural Center. There's, I think, at least three galleries. I'm sure different kinds of art gallery and other kinds that are located together, and take you to see that. The zoo, the art places, botanical garden. I think I did go once there, I believe, many years ago. But what I want to do is take you like 4 times during the year when the seasons change, because the plants and things change. Where else do I want to go? Well, I think I could try to make, although it's kind of surprising because I thought, well, when I was here, when I was in Kansas City, I went to the Kansas City Zoo with my kids when they were little and stuff. Of course, that's sort of before YouTube, I think. But I took a camera, of course. But like for the Fort Worth Zoo, and I don't think I went, but online I went. I thought, okay, that'd be, I thought I can go and make some YouTube videos at the zoo. All these different animals, and they're, and I thought I think I can do a better job than. Then it looked like that they had maybe. Well, anyway, I went, I went by, YouTube, Fort Worth Zoo, and they don't have that many. They didn't have that many views. And the views that I saw weren't that good. But I think they used sort of a professional company to come in and do it. And so then after seeing that, I thought, well, people aren't going to go to the zoo, I guess, to look at, or they're not going to go to YouTube to look at a zoo. I know they must be. I'm not sure what the problem is. But I'll be taking you out there if I am around that long. When you get to be a certain age, it's not, it's, when you get a certain age, like the obituaries or whatever. Well, when you read, if you follow the obituaries in your hometown or something like that, oh shit, yeah, I went to school with that guy, went to high school with him, ex-girlfriend, ex-girlfriend's brother, stuff, You get to be, on several, I don't, the time thing never quite, when I was a kid, I was like an adult. I also, I thought that I never did the calculations. I never did that. I just didn't, like when I was in grade school, the nun said, oh, the Fatima, the things that Mary told the little kids or whatever, the secrets or whatever, and then that there was some secrets that were going to be released in a certain date. Oh, the secret one that nobody knows about, oh, what is that, Is it the end of the world? Jesus coming, you know. And I think, I'm not sure, I think the date was, let's see, I think it was 1959. I graduated from grade school in 1955. I graduated from high school in 1959. I totally forgot about it until a few years ago, just a very few years, forgot about the thing. And then they made a movie, the new movie, about Fatima. And I like the old movie better, by the way. But and then, of course, there was talk about, you know, by the news media and stuff. But then there was like the book, and then the movie 1984, and that same in 2001 or whatever, the Space Odyssey. And when those things first came up, I thought, oh, it's like when a movie, you know. I thought, well, I won't be alive, you know, but I never did the math, and here I am. And then it started, you know, looking at the obituaries and people that I went to school with. And then one time I worked for 60 years hospital security, so St. Joseph Hospital, then Trinity Lutheran Hospital. When would that have been? Research, St. Joseph Hospital, when was that? Well, Trinity was in the 80s. Anyway, I worked there 5.5 years. Then I moved on. Anyway, many years later, well, in the late 1990s, I worked till 2000 hospital security, you know. That was a small hospital. I worked there 9 years. Trinity, St. Research Belton Hospital. And, you know, so it was a small hospital, and the helicopter that the hospital corporation that I worked for owned, you know, they came out quite often to take patients from our little hospital to the big hospital. And almost always it was that way. Very rarely did the helicopter ever go anyplace but. But anyway, it just happened at the hospital I worked at in the 1970s. There was the helicopter was going to transport somebody there. And I knew what the situation was then. Of course, it may have changed over the years. But I knew at that time when I worked there was no helicopter landing pad. You had to go down to Liberty Memorial Mall. An ambulance had to go down to and then the helicopter landed at the mall, or at the, not the mall like a shopping mall, but where the World War I monument was, commemorizing World War I. And so yeah, I thought, well, I'd call down there and give those guys a heads up so they could get ready, because I worked a year part-time at Menorah Hospital, and it did not have a landing pad either. They had to land in the street, in a busy street, so security there had to block off the street. But anyway, so I called down to Trinity. This is after, like 3 o'clock in the morning or something, and to let them know. And then I talked to the switchboard operator. She was working there when I was working there. And so I was talking to her, and I said, how's Mr. So-and-so, the hospital administrator, how's he doing? Dead. How about the assistant administrator? Dead. Whatever. So, okay, I hope that I think it will, because a while ago when I was trying to do earlier, I told you that I used Manicam, made the video, and I was surprised that I got a protocol error, whatever the thing. So I think this will, I think this is going to work okay. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.